Hey guys, Andrew McFarland here from the Entrepreneurial Spirit, walking down the street in Venice, California. About to head to Bali soon. My second home, so I'm sure you'll probably be seeing videos from there soon. And if you guys just in general haven't been to Bali, I love this place. As it pertains to this conversation, because there's a lot of really beautiful, conscious entrepreneurs, people who are on their spiritual path, if we'll say spiritual path, but consciously pursuing their evolution, and are also sometimes location independent entrepreneurs, digital nomads, people who have all number of businesses, service-based businesses, product-based businesses. I have a business that runs and is founded and is located in Bali. We run yoga teacher trainings and yoga retreats in Bali, Thailand, and India, and it's called East-West Yoga. So you can go to eastwestyoga.com if you want to learn more about that. But this video is to talk about why I don't love nonprofit models when it comes to affecting change in the world. So for me, as someone who, I could say I have a nonprofit mentality in the sense that I want all of the businesses that I'm functioning in and operating to benefit the world, to make this world a better place. That really is my primary focus. But at the same time, I have reflected on the fact that we need to have regenerative business models, right? We need to have models that allow us to reinvest and grow to have more influence in the world. So there was actually a really great TED Talk about this. There was a guy who talked about, and this is someone who's been in the nonprofit sector for a really long time, and he was talking about how in terms of gross income, there may have been something like 50 nonprofits. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was a very, very, very small number of nonprofits that were able to generate over, I believe, something like $500 million a year in donations. And then he was comparing that to the thousands and thousands of for-profit companies that are able to generate billions of dollars in revenue per year. And he was just saying you're not even in the same dimension. And there's a few reasons why that is. The first reason is because nonprofits are perceived socially differently than corporations, in particular in the way that they invest their money and spend their money. If a nonprofit does a campaign to market some donations that they want to receive, and maybe they do a marketing campaign and they spend $10 million and it's a total failure and a flop, their donors would be at odds with that nonprofit. They would not allow that to happen because the statement that would be made is, hey, that money could have gone to educate children or feed children or clothe homeless people or whatever the cause is for that specific nonprofit. Now, if a for-profit corporation does something like this, people would say, well, this is just the cost of doing business, right? Some things work, some things don't work, but it's okay because this is a capitalist endeavor. And so because of this, nonprofits are always asked the question, well, how much money goes towards your operational expenses and how much money goes towards the actual mission and how much money goes toward the cause directly? Because nobody wants to feel that their money is going towards administration. But what this does is it makes nonprofits, it forces them to keep their corporate overhead very, very low, which then oftentimes decreases their ability to grow the pie or the scale at which they're operating, right? And so you could say that a company is able to generate between, let's say, a smaller percentage of a larger pie. Overall, more people would benefit, right? But if a company is actually, let's say, 95% of their money is going towards a cause, we feel like, oh wow, they're doing really well. That's a good amount of money. But it might be a very, very small pie that we're dealing with, right? It could be 95% of nearly nothing. Whereas you could have a company or a nonprofit, let's say, that is putting 5% towards the cause because they're spending all this money marketing, all this money doing everything else that they're usually not supposed to be doing, but the size of the actual pie is much larger. And actual dollars much larger, so they're having a greater impact. But they can never get to that point because no one will ever allow them to take those kinds of risks. So this is one of the bigger problems with nonprofit organizations as far as I see it. One is the social. I hope I'm not blinding you with this. Let's see if I can find another angle. This is better. Okay, I'm sorry about that. All right, so the other thing that I want to talk about is something I actually just reflected on the other day that I realized is that when you don't actually have a product that you sell, marketing these kinds of things are very hard. So let's look at it this way. If I buy a sweater, which is a product, this sweater is branded, right? It has a logo on it. Or even just by the mere fact of me wearing it, someone might say, hey, that's a nice looking sweater. I actually do like the sweater, but I'm not making that comment about myself. So if someone says, hey, that's a nice sweater, where did you get it? It's a conversation piece that can then inspire them to go and buy the same sweater. It could be shoes, it could be a car. All these things, by the nature of them being physical, create an opportunity for them to naturally remarket themselves to other people, which creates what you could say is a viral effect. When you give to a nonprofit, you don't usually go around telling people, hey, I gave to this nonprofit and you should too. You usually just do it and then nobody knows. So they have to constantly spend energy and money not only remarketing to you, but trying to find other people to market to. They don't have this opportunity to create a viral effect within their marketing. So this is another thing that is really hard for nonprofits. Now, what is the solution? What is the solution? In my perspective, oh, actually, before I go there, the last thing that I wanted to say is, if we just look at, in our own lives, how much money we spend and invest in, let's say, things like giving versus our own personal well-being. So our food, our clothes, our shelter, all of these things. We would probably, I don't know what the percentage is, but I can probably say with a lot of confidence, we're something like 90% of what we spend and invest is on ourselves. And then maybe if you're someone, maybe if you tithe or you do something else, maybe it's 10% goes toward giving. That means if we look at money as energy, 90% of your energy is going towards for-profit companies, which is what is giving them more influence. And it's not to say this is a good or bad thing. I'm not making that statement. I'm saying that this is just, for us, important to be aware of why, for me, I always have focused on for-profit businesses because I've also learned that this is where people invest their money. But not just for-profit businesses, but for-profit businesses with social missions. Because I believe we can have the best of both worlds. And this is where I was getting. Is that what's the solution? The solution is to, one, first be conscious of, one, where we're spending our money and bringing light to companies that are doing great work that need to be promoted, and for us to create businesses that are actually regenerative, that have a social mission, so that the future is every product and service that you're a part of is connected to and giving back to the community. Right? It isn't just for the sake of making money for the sake of making money. It's being aware of the supply chain. Who are the people in that company and what values do they have? Because every time you invest in a business as well, be aware that you're expanding the perspectives and the consciousness in the world of the people who run that company itself. What are their values? What are their, or the lack thereof? So, I feel like one of the reasons, and I'll keep saying this, that I'm making this channel and I want to impress upon you the importance of being successful as a conscious entrepreneur is because this is the future. We need people who have beautiful hearts, who have beautiful intentions to also have thriving businesses. Otherwise, it's going to be someone else. It's going to be someone else and some other business that maybe creates the thing that you wanted to create or thrives in that market. And they might not have the same kinds of intentions that you have when it comes to being environmentally sustainable, or the way that you want to treat your employees, or the list goes on and on and on. So I want to see people with beautiful hearts thrive, people with conscious spirits really, really grow. So if anything, if there's any way that I can support you, feel free to reach out to me. You can put in the comments box below any questions that you have. If you like the video, I invite you to press the like button. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, you can subscribe. All right, this is Andrew McFarland with the Entrepreneurial Spirit, sending you my love. And I'll see you really soon.